Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Rock Chronicles. Where fans become family. I am Uncle Tats. I am here with Donald, and Robinho is back on the screen. Always good to see him face to face, screen to screen, however you want to word it. But look, it's been probably the one. The weather sucks. Yankees sucked even more. This is not a team that should come into the Bronx and just take control of the stadium. They really shouldn't. But it really seems that when there's bad weather, the Yankees just never figure out how to navigate their skills in bad weather. You know, that's just the way it seems. I know we split the doubleheader. They won a game, woohoo! But the other the other two games in the series, not so much. Cortez's home stadium magic is officially gone. I know Susan said on the broadcast yesterday while I was working my ass off in the sweat and the heat, the rain, the humidity, it all sucks, that he has given up now 25 runs in his last 5 starts. That is completely fucking unacceptable, bro. I mean, come on. And Donald, I saw your tweet. You know, in hindsight, we should have grabbed another starter. But I mean, can Kluckschmidt come back fast enough?
Oh, I know, right?
To take a spot in this rotation. I mean, it's been absolutely abysmal. After things started to look it seems like we were back on the right track. We were playing competitive baseball. We were winning games. We went on a couple series back to back, and things were looking better post deadline. And it just seems like they hit the rewind button in the series with the Angels. And what I really want to. I don't want to excuse the Yankees for their play, but we've seen too many times that they use the break of their rhythm and their routine as an excuse.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable. You cannot, because all the changes in the postponements, the double headers, the rain, it didn't affect the Angels.
Exactly. That's it. You can blame the wind all we want. I mean, I know there was a ton of balls at the warning track.
The Yankees probably the
Yankees had about 3 home runs out of the park.
3 home runs, the Yankees probably would have had, game-changing home runs. Not winning, but it could have altered the pace of the game. That the wind just put back right into the park.
It did. But again, the Angels put up a freaking.
But that's what I was going to say. But it did not stop the Angels. So Donald, let's get your take.
I mean, there's a lot to go through. I've got a lot to say. But first of all, I want to thank everyone in the chat. So first things first, guys. If you guys could hit the like button for us, and hit the sub button for anyone who's joining now or later. It would mean a lot to our channel and our channel's growth. We've gained hundreds of subscribers over the last few months, and it says a lot about our channel and our little family that we got going with you guys. So I want to say a big salute to all of you guys. We may not always agree on the Yankee opinions, but we all are family here. And we all welcome all kinds of opinions on the state of our team. So let's get this, as NFE says, let's get this thing up to 800. We now cleared the 700 threshold. Let's get up to the 800 threshold. So that's the first things first. You see that little cup of coffee sign there on the top right-hand corner? You can do your thing with that too. So that's that. That's the business side out of the way. Big salute to everyone that's in the chat. Quite a good chat is absolutely flowing now. And a good morning to all of you guys. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty here. I thought that this series was absolutely shameful. I thought it was pretty disgraceful. The pitching was fucked. Excuse me, Tom, but it was fucked. Right? Nestor Cortez is toast. Right? He was toast. Now, I know that he was pitching in a hailstorm, and that inning where it was just a deluge, right? And he was having difficulty gripping the ball. I could see his face, right? There was a lot of pitches that were hanging over the middle of the plate. So I get that, but also he's been kind of doing this before anyway, right? That doesn't excuse the 25 runs, as you said, over the last couple of starts. So that, that's not just that inning or that start. Yeah, he leaves pitches over the middle plate. He's been doing that. Marcus Stroman's leaving pitches over the plate. He's been doing that. Will Warren is not ready to pitch in the majors. Now, this doesn't mean that I somehow hate prospects or all that stuff. I'm just being straight straight down the line. If you're pitching to a 6.11 ERA in AAA, we've given up 18 home runs in 20 starts, 65 earned runs, and 99 hits over those 20 starts. In AAA, there's a pretty good sign you're probably not ready to pitch in the majors. Okay, that's nothing against him. Maybe he's going to turn it around. But he's not a baby anymore. He's 25 years old. There's pitchers younger than him doing massively better, right? So let's take the gloves off because at the end of the day, we're all trying to win, right? We're not in the business of just patting people on the back, going, "Oh, you tried," right? It doesn't matter. You wear the Yankee pinstripes. There's different expectations, right? He's not living up to those expectations. He pitched in the majors, and he was absolutely, utterly, phenomenally awful in his last start. Horrible, disgraceful, ugly as shit. Horrible. Now he's been sent back to AAA, so he ain't ready to pitch in the majors. He's got some issues. He has a very average sinker that hangs over the middle of the plate. He needs to fix that. So that's just the reality. That doesn't mean they've given up on him. It just means that he's got a lot of work to do if he's even going to break into this rotation. Because next season, I can't see where there's going to be a spot for him. Quite honestly, so he's got some work to do there. So that's a big portion of our rotation over the last little while. We're relying on Rodon. And we're relying on Garrett Cole and we're relying on Luis Heel. That's 3 stars. We can't get Clark Schmidt back soon enough. So there's that. Thank you, Ken, for the super chat. I can't thank you enough for that. It's awesome. So yeah, there's that. The pitching was a mess, and it didn't give us a chance to win. However, if you looked at that series, even if you look at our win when we won, 5-2, the Yankees should have blown them the hell out. They had 5 runs. It should have been 15. The Yankees had numerous opportunities, runners at second and third, no outs, runners on the corners, no outs. They had a ton of opportunities throughout that game, and they blew every single one of them, and they didn't score a single run after they put up 5. And that worried me, right? I was thinking, there's something about this that I'm not liking. We're not driving in runs. This pitcher can't pitch. He's leaving pitches over the plate, and we're not taking advantage of it. And I was thinking, this might come back to bite us as the series progresses, and that's exactly what happened. We got freaking owned in that night game. Ugly-ass game. And then yesterday, awful. Now, you can say, you know what chance did we have because, our pitchers didn't give us a chance, but we still blew a lot of opportunities. We put people on, but we just couldn't drive them in. This seems to be a problem with the Yankees. They need to do better with runners in scoring position. But it was just such an odd series. It was like, first of all, it was like I was expecting, it was like comically bad weather. It was like comic book bad weather. It was like, it was like Gotham City. It was like comic Gotham City. I was half expecting the Joker to turn up on the 7th inning stretch and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" because it was just comically bad weather, right? It was pissing rain, enveloped by darkness. I was expecting, it was like 1800s fucking London and with Jack the Ripper going around. It was just darkness, wind, rain. It was like fucking horrible. I've never seen anything like it. And the Yankees, they played up to it. It was a surreal experience watching them, and it was an ugly-ass game. And I'm telling you what, they ain't back. They didn't even... And also, there was some ugly shit, man. They weren't even, Hill didn't even cover first base at one point. Verdugo dropped a pop up. There was just some ugly ass play going on, man. And that was the thing. Was the previous podcast, I was like, oh, you know what? Aaron Boone really got these guys going. But there we go. We're right back to where we were before. There's a lot of things to be concerned about with this team. This team is far from back.
Rob, your point of view.
Oh, hello everybody. It wasn't a good series. The good news is, for some reason, we keep getting lucky that other teams are not running away with stuff. So just hope that they can turn it around. I'm not going to blame the weather. I'm not going to blame who was pitching. It was a bad series. The Yankees have had several of those in the last couple of months. I do believe this is a better team now than when it was a month or so ago. It's just up to them to turn it around. It's going to be reliant on Rodon and Cole to really... We need Cole. We desperately need Garrett Cole to be Garrett Cole. If he's pitching the way he should be, we're not going to have too many concerns when it gets to the big days in October. I need Stroman to be better. I'm hoping those mechanical adjustments he made work. I don't know. I still don't know why they picked up De Los Santos. It's such a terrible decision. They could have called up... pick a name out of a hat, and from AAA he'd do the same thing. So maybe he's a DFA candidate when we need to get an arm up here. But yeah, it was a weird series because they should have been able to smack them around, but we got smacked around. And that happens in baseball, right? But it's also not an excuse. The Yankees should have been able to take 2 out of 3. I thought we would take both games at doubleheader, but we didn't. And then last night, Nestor Cortez, ever since running his mouth on Twitter about how lucky he is to be a Yankee, has done the complete opposite of show that, because he has been unwatchable. He was terrible. And it was not the bullpen's fault. It was his fault. He was terrible. I don't know what his deal is. He looks unusable. And I know he won't be part of the playoff rotation, but we need him to pitch well until we get some guys back. And yeah, it's this pitching is my concern. I'm not really too concerned about the offense because we have the firepower, in my opinion, to get better or to score a lot of runs. We still have the best players in baseball in Judge and Soto. Stanton's just coming back. Volpe, unfortunately, is going to be out for a little bit with that foot. I'm hoping it's not too serious, but he's been on fire. Wells has been on fire. So I'm not too concerned about the offense, but this pitching is concerning me for these final 2 months because I don't know if Clark Schmidt's going to be able to save it. We can't keep relying on injured players to come back and save this thing. Garrett Cole needs to be better. Rodon's been fine. We need Stroman to be better because he's making $18.5 million. And I like Luis Heel. That's about it. Him and Rodon have done their job, but this bullpen scares me. And I know we have several guys coming back. Hamilton, Efros still doesn't really have his stuff working, so I wouldn't use him as a comeback candidate. But we need some help. We can't keep relying on the Tim Hills and Michael Tonkins to bail us out. It's surprising they've lasted this long. Yeah, but he is good. I'm sure he'll miss a couple of days, just to be safe. And we don't have a shortstop. Do they IL Volpe for the 10-day minimum and call up Peraza? That's an option, just to get a shortstop up here. Or do you call up? Do you give Cabrera the start at shortstop? I don't know. I wouldn't want that necessarily, but yeah, that's a concern because Volpe's been on fire. So missing him even for 2 or 3 days is a big hit to this team. But this pitching really does concern me because Nestor stinks. I always said Cortez. Stroman has been bad, and the bullpen has not been very good. So yeah, it's the wrong time for this bullpen to for this pitching staff to be bad, but they've been the worst rotation in baseball since like June 6th. So at some point, something's got to turn around, and maybe they got to stop using Nestor, but until they get guys back like Poteet and Schmidt, they had to have no choice, which circles back to the deadline. They could have had Tyler Anderson, who shut us down yesterday. He was an option. They could have had Jack Flaherty. They passed up on it. I don't necessarily disagree with the medical stuff, but they had other guys they could have went out there and tried to get, but they didn't do it. Will Warren stunk. There's no other way of putting it. Doesn't mean we give up on the kid, but he flat out stunk. It was just his second start. Hopefully he's better in his third, but yeah, this is kind of what we're stuck with right now until guys get healthy. It's just up to them to turn it around. I'm just going to chalk it up to a terrible series, and let's get ready for the next one.
Yeah, no, the issue with Volpe that is concerning, especially on the defensive side, because he has been, he's been pretty solid at shortstop. And that's such an important position on the infield. To lose somebody, who's already, at his young career, and already had the Gold Glove in his pocket. But he's been having. It's also his bat. He's been having a good. He's kind of turned it around a little bit without the pressures of the top of the order. I know they said that their goal was to have him as the leadoff hitter for 10 years, but that's not his game. And I think they realized that, and not, just shoved him there and been like, well, figure it out. And if you fail, you fail. They gave him a shot. He was okay in the first, couple series. He was productive in the leadoff spot, but that's not his home. It was a nice visit to the leadoff spot, but it's not him. But who they bring up? Maybe they just give it to have Cabrera take shortstop for a couple of games. He's not the most ideal shortstop. I know he's very good at third. He's legitimate at third, but I would put him in the short. I don't want to put Volpe on the IL just yet. Because it could be something where tomorrow he's just fine and there's no issue. And if you put him on the IL, then you have to wait. You have to wait the time. Even with the retroactive, you're still going to miss him for. You're going to lose him for a whole series, where you can still have him as a replacement later in the game with the glove or the bat or the speed, because you could do all three of that. So I don't want to see if he ends up on the IL. I think it's worse than they think. Then secondary testing showed that there was something else wrong. But it was just a sloppy series. The pitching is
horrible.
I think it was a failure, around the horn. It was, the defense, of course now, right? The defense, the pitching and the hitting, just weren't clicking throughout the series. So I'm going to let Donald give his take, and I'm going to get that toy away from us.
I love it's a much needed levity for us hearing Tad's giant 15-foot dog play with his squeaker toy. Well, I think the shortstop situation will be Ozzy. I think Ozzy probably plays shortstop. He's not a great shortstop, but I think that's what he's going to do, because I don't think they want to move off Chisholm, who's playing a very good third base. He's been a natural. If there's a positive, Jazz Chisholm looks like a natural at third base. So he's been absolutely flat out flawless over there. And that's a position that was actually kind of not necessarily his strongest. It was more like a second baseman / center fielder. But now he's playing a phenomenal third base, so that's a great thing for us. If you're want a positive, so I don't think they're going to move off that. I think Ozzy his bat has been really good lately. He actually was one of the few, along with Austin Wells, that actually turned up this series. So he'll be definitely in the lineup tonight. I assume that he'll be playing shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, unless they just go the safe route, because it is a foot, and we've seen how that can derail somebody. Look at DJ. Look at what happened to DJ LeMahieu. I'm not saying it's going to happen to Volpe because there's a huge age difference there, but we didn't think it was that serious, and it turned out he missed like 2 months with it. So when it comes to a foot, even if it came back negative, sometimes you just want to be a little extra cautious with it. Make sure he's 100% ready to come back, because we don't want to rush a guy. And we also don't want to play a man down, because what if someone does get hurt? Then we don't have a backup. So maybe they just go cautious and put him on the IL for 10 days. If they don't have to, great. Then that'd be fantastic. We can have Volpe back in the lineup maybe tomorrow or Sunday. But if they have to be cautious about it, Peraza would be the guy to call up, because he's been killing it lately in AAA. So you can give him another opportunity to play every day. Because I don't think Cabrera is a very good shortstop.
No, he's not a very good third baseman either. He's not a very good player.
But we need that, because Volpe has been like the only only bright spot of this infield, and aside from the last like week and a half of Jazz at third, because he, like you said, he's been outstanding, which is surprising because he did not play a lot of second base the last year. He was good at second, and then to switch to third, everyone was like, "Oh no, this can't be the case." But he said it himself. He feels like he was. He feels like he was born to play third base, and it's a great thing to see because now we have third base figured out. But even if we miss a couple of days of, if it's just a couple of days, then fine, Cabrera. But if you have to IL Volpe, then Peraza needs to be the shortstop, and you got to put Cabrera somewhere else. Put him at second if you have to, and get Torres out of the lineup. I don't know, but I do agree that Cabrera needs to be playing as much as possible. He's been playing really well, and it sucks that Volpe's hurt. It really does, because he has been very freaking good since the All-Star break, and it's been such a breath of fresh air, because for a good 2 months he looked bad, or a month and a half. So it does suck. I'm just hoping it's the best case scenario. He misses a day or two and he's back to go by the weekend or next week.
I'm not expecting an IL stint with Anthony Volpe. I really not. I think it'll be a couple of days thing, if that. But I think the bigger issue here is the constitution of this lineup. Again, these issues are coming back to rear its ugly head. We don't really have a leadoff hitter, and it's now kind of becoming an issue. And they're pitching around Aaron Judge, which they really, if you're an opposition manager, they should be doing. Let's be honest. And that is really going to be a problem. And we're seeing signs of it. If anything, the previous few series is now an indicator of how teams are going to be pitching with Aaron Judge. Basically, if you throw him a pitch in the zone, he's going to hit it. And he's going to hit it far. He's probably going to hit it 480 feet. So they're afraid to do it. So now they're just walking him. And now we need more protection from him. Austin Wells has been amazing. He's been amazing, right? But after him, we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more. And I don't like Torres as a leadoff hitter. I've said it before. I just don't like it. I don't think he's the right leadoff hitter. He's hitting better lately, no doubt, but I just don't like him as a leadoff hitter. And yeah, after Austin Wells, Stanton needs to be red hot. I think there's some issues with this lineup, man, and I saw it this series. We had opportunities with plenty of runners on, but we just couldn't drive them in.
Yep. And to answer a couple of questions in the chat, yeah, believe me, I'm sure she would love to give her opinion. Joan, I'll actually email you a video later. It's hilarious with the two dogs playing. But she is right now is 7 months old. She's about 90 pounds. So almost there. But no, it's the issue with Judge, and I want to lead that into the secondary topic here. Is it better to have him? Why not put – this is – I apologize, everybody. It is what it is. Is it smart to have him as the leadoff hitter, being that we really don't have one, and then have him and Soto as the 1-2 punch? That's kind of what I wanted to bring into the discussion, because it's actually been talked about a lot on the radio, and there's been a lot of mixed feelings about that. Leave him in the third spot, just secure a better cleanup hitter, or flip-flopping Soto and Judge in the 2 and 3, have him lead off so you keep Soto in the 2 spot. I mean, there's been a lot of different scenarios being brought up, but I wanted to get your guys' take on what they should, if there's a way to shuffle the lineup. No. I'm not doing this Aaron Judge leadoff again. This is 2022 all over again. They're still going to pitch around him. Why would you still pitch? You're not pitching Aaron Judge right now unless you absolutely have to. And I think a pitcher would rather face anybody else, even with Judge on first, than deal with Aaron Judge. Do not change the lineup with Soto, and if you're going to do anything with them, is you flip them where they are already. You don't put Judge lead off. You don't put Soto behind him.
or you can do that, but you do not put Judge at the top of the order. You don't put Soto at the top of the order. They don't have a leadoff hitter yet. I feel like they will when Dominguez is here, but Verdugo was looking better there. And for whatever reason, they just can't get away from this lefty-righty stuff where they got to change it up whether they're playing a lefty or a righty. We don't hit lefties anyway, so why don't we just stick with what was working? Keep Verdugo in the leadoff spot. You go Verdugo, Soto, Judge. It was working. Wells, I don't care if they're facing a lefty or a righty. We don't hit the lefties anyway. No matter how many times you shuffle it around, it's not going to fix itself, so might as well just leave it the way it was. You keep your top 4 the way it was. You have Stanton 5, and then you have Jazz 6. That's working. That's been working. When that was the lineup, once we got Jazz, we were winning games again. And then you had a 7, 8, 9 of Volpe or Torres, Volpe, and LeMahieu. It was actually working. Or whoever the hell was at second or third base, whatever the lineup may have been. It seemed to be working just fine. I don't like Torres going from 6 to 1. I don't like the fact that they switched Volpe from batting 8th or 9th and he was batting 5th. Stop doing this. Just keep it the way it was. It was working. There's no need to put Aaron Judge in the top of the order. And was it WFAN that was talking about that? Because it wouldn't surprise me. Those buffoons just say the dumbest things every single week. Whoever it was, stupid suggestion. I'm sorry. There is no reason to put Aaron Judge in the leadoff spot unless somebody was hurt. And even then, I would put Verdugo there. I would put Chisholm there. There's absolutely zero reason for Aaron Judge to be batting leadoff. At the very least, he's batting third, and you're going to have 2 guys on base for Austin Wells, who's on a tear right now.
Absolutely agree, man. Tats?
Yeah, no, I think that this is where, Boone gets in his own way. Because he had Verdugo in the leadoff spot, and he decided to pick it up a little bit, and then decided that he wanted to, he tries to get too fancy with these lineups. When we started righting the ship, we were winning series, there was consistency. And then we get on this run, and then they want to change it up again. We're like, all right, well, now let's see if we can get this to work. No, stop doing that. See, that's the organization's problem, not so much the players that they have on the roster, because they're not being utilized to their strengths. What's wrong with Verdugo being the leadoff hitter? It was working. Then you wanted to put him 9th? I mean, stop being fancy with the lineups. It's really simple. It's Verdugo, Soto, Judge, Wells, Stanton. There's your 5. You want to swap, Torres with Stanton if one of them's on a better hot streak or in a hot streak, because Stanton hasn't really got his rhythm yet, which I wasn't expecting much from him anyway. Just getting back, we all know his history with that. It does take him time, but Slim Stanton, I didn't expect it to take this many games. I thought it to just take a handful and then he'd be on his way, but it seems like that's just it takes him a while to get going. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of Judge as leadoff. I would leave it the way it is. It's whether you bat him first, second, third, 8th. They're going to walk him. They're not going to pitch to him without a solid player behind him. Wells, the reason they did have to pitch to him at certain points in the game is because Wells been hot. So let's take Wells out of the cleanup spot. They get in their own way with these lineups instead of just letting it go. That's why baseball teams that have consistent lineups win series, because there's no guessing game of what their roles are for that particular game. I've said this repeatedly throughout the history of this channel. Consistency is key when it comes to sports. We all, no matter what sport you're watching, you guys know, if you don't have the consistency and solid leadership, you're going to suck.
Yep.
And you're going to throw games away. I understand with the lineups with double headers, it gets tricky because you don't want certain players, playing 2 games in one day. I get that. I could give a pass for that one, that situation. But the next day, you should have gone with your tried and true lineup, and they didn't. They tried to over exemplifying where they wanted guys to play. That's what cost them the game because there's no consistency, there's no rhythm.
Nestor Cortez also was a huge part of costing them that game. I don't think it mattered what lineup we put out there. Nestor Cortez has given up 6 runs. It's going to be hard to win, especially when Anderson, who's having a good season, was shutting you down. So it's a mixture of things. I don't like the lineup shifting around every other day or every day or even twice in a day, but if you're giving up 8 runs and you're only scoring 2, guess what? You could have prime Bonds in the middle of that lineup. You're not going to come back from a 6-run deficit. Not when Nestor Cortez has given up the game in his first 4 innings. So they got to figure out the pitching first. I'm not too concerned about the offense. When we do have a full strength lineup, and that's when we do get Dominguez finally called up, and it won't be probably till September, but I'm not too concerned about it because eventually Stanton will start hitting. Jazz Chisholm struck out 6 times in one day, said, I'm not having that happen again. Hit a home run yesterday, and he hit an absolute bomb. I think he's a guy that clearly cares a ton, and I love it. I'm glad to see that he cared that much. Very next day, he hits a home run. DJ's been hitting lately, so that's fine. You want to play him until that hot streak that he's on ends? Okay. Torres is whatever. Verdugo's whatever. He's going to give you what he gives you, but I'm not too concerned about the offense. Eventually, they're going to have to pitch to Aaron Judge again because Soto's going to make them and Wells is going to make them. It's the pitching. I'm concerned about this pitching because it went from the best rotation in baseball to the worst rotation in baseball in almost a blink of an eye. And a lot of it has to do with Nestor Cortez and Marcus Stroman. And there was a spell where Rodon was bad. There was a spell where Heel was bad. Cole hasn't been very good. Let's call it what it is. Pitching has to settle itself. And if it does, I'm not too concerned about this offense. Because games like yesterday, we can end up winning 4-3 with the better pitching. With better starting pitching, I should say.
Well, the pitching's been just diabolical. And as I say, if you put your offense in a hole while you're down 5 or 6 runs, and it doesn't matter how early in the game it is, it's a lot to ask to even come back, to even attempt to come back. So I can't blame the offense necessarily for it. You would have liked to have seen them come back, but also this offense is down around the majors. You don't put up 10, 12 spots very much anymore in the modern day. Pitching is key, and that's what it's coming down to. Pitching is key, and we don't have the pitching right now. It really concerned me that Aaron Boone was basically happy to sacrifice the Will Warren and Nestor Cortez starts because he didn't want to go to his bullpen early. That says to me that he is afraid of using his bullpen, taxing his bullpen. So basically, if our starters put us in a hole, it looks like he's going to ride it out with a starter and try and get him to eat innings and buy some outs because he's thinking about the next day. And that's not a great sign. That means that this bullpen is not constituted to come in spots where we're maybe 5-1 down, 6-1 down. He doesn't want to go to his bullpen early and maybe give us a chance to maybe come back because that means that you're taxing the bullpen and taxing major arms down in other games that in the future. I think that's what it was because Warren, it was quite obvious after 2 innings was toast and he should have been taken out. Same with Nestor Cortez. It was clear that Nestor Cortez was toast before he gave up the runs that cleared the bases. He should have been out much earlier. But again, Aaron Boone doesn't want to overuse the key arms in his bullpen because he already is having to. Because what are the arms that we trust right now? Not many, right? I mean, it's Leiter,
Tonkin and Weaver. That's it. Those are the 2.
Tonkin and Weaver, and he's got Clay Holmes, and he is what he is. So that's our bullpen. So yeah, there's a pitching problem here. De Los Santos was a terrible pickup. It made no sense. A, he's not a lefty. B, the Padres hated him. C, I have no idea why Cashman acquired him. Like, if the Padres don't like you, and the very chilled fan base in San Diego really did not like him, it kind of should say something. But no, Brian Cashman's like, oh yeah, come on board, just because he can strike some guys out. He gives up too many hard hits. And even in the innings that he came in where he didn't give up runs, he was giving up a lot of loud outs.
Yep.
A lot of loud outs. And I text Rob, I remember it was like, this dude's ass. And we saw it rear its ugly head yesterday. So we got some problems. We got some pitching problems. Now as for the offense, Aaron Boone needs to get some consistency going. And I don't care about this lefty-righty situational matchup. So what Rob says here is spot on. We don't hit lefties. We do not hit lefties. We can't hit them. And I have no idea why. We cannot hit them, but we cannot hit them. We're one of the worst teams in the majors statistically against left-handed pitching. So, with that in mind, stop fucking about with the lineup. Just find something consistent, right? I don't like Gleyber Torres leading off. And I'm going to keep saying that. I don't like him leading off. He should be in the 6 or 7 hole. Verdugo, he's been better post All-Star break. He's been much better. He's hitting the ball cleanly. He is a leadoff hitter. If you look at all the places he's in a lineup, he's most effective as a leadoff hitter. He's still not great. He's not what we hoped he was, but he is far more effective as a leadoff hitter. So I would have him leading off, at least until Dominguez is ready. He should be leading off. Other than that, I would consider Jazz Chisholm leading off because I think that if he's in the middle of the order, it looks like he's getting these kind of a golf swing developed because he wants to hit that right field porch. Now, he did it yesterday, but he did also strike out 6 times, and a lot of that was because he was trying to golf the ball out of the ballpark. Maybe if he was in a leadoff spot, it would be more of a case of, can you get on base? Hit me some contact. Because with his natural swing, he's going to hit a ton of home runs anyway. So I still think that Jazz Chisholm would be a really good leadoff hitter. But if you don't want to do that, then you have Verdugo leading off. Next thing, I would swap Judge and Soto. I do think I would do that. Purely because Judge is the key to this whole fucking operation. Judge is the key to this whole operation. You need a situation where he's going to get some pitches to hit, right? He's got ridiculous power, otherworldly power. He's having one of the most amazing seasons I've ever freaking seen. You need to put him in a position where he's going to get some pitches to hit, right? And at the end of the day, Juan Soto is better than Aaron Judge in runners in scoring position anyway. So he's freaking phenomenal, Juan Soto, and he'll always get his base. And then you have Wells following him up. We're in good spot. We're in good shape. I don't think it would do anything other than help. Plus, you kind of want your best hitter getting the most at-bats anyway, and statistically, you get your most at-bats in the 2-hole. So I think you need to have it figured out where it's Judge, then Soto, then Wells, then you got Stanton, and then you can have Torres there. You can have Jazz Chisholm leading off. That's a pretty good batting lineup. It is. That is a strong lineup, but it needs to be consistent. And Joe Girardi has always said it in the booth. He's like, one of the most important things to me as a manager was having a consistent lineup every day. I need my guys to have consistency and consistent in the batting order and where they are and how they're asked to approach each at bat. Aaron Boone flipping and flopping, Verdugo leading off to 9th hitter. They go Volpe leading off, then going 9, then 5, then 6, then 4. It's stupid and it doesn't help. It doesn't work. It's confusing. And it's confusing their approach, and it's affected so many swings already, and that has to stop. It has to stop. It has to stop. You're just looking at it objectively. We do not hit lefties anyway, so what is the point in messing around? You're not going to get any more consistency out of it, because has it helped? Has it helped? No, we lose every single start against the lefty. Every single one. Doesn't matter who. You can have a single A pitcher. You can have a pitcher from the Mexican League come up. If he throws left-handed, the Yankees ain't hitting you. So That's the reality. So you might as well have a consistent lineup and have them have the same approach, consistent approach, and then you'll probably get something more out of this lineup. But Aaron Boone is really has a lot to answer for. Again, unfortunately.
See, now, why I think that it won't work with Jazz as a leadoff hitter, because his name's come up a lot in the chat, is it's going to be the same approach with Volpe. Right? Just because he has speed doesn't mean that they're going to utilize it. Because they're not going to have him. They didn't have Volpe stealing bases because they didn't want to take the bat out of anybody's hand. By stealing second base on a leadoff single. So if the base is open, and that's also why, Donald, it won't work if you flip Judge and Soto. Because if Judge is batting second in front of behind Jazz, Jazz gets on base and then steals a base. That opens it up for them to just walk him anyway.
But then you got runners on first and second for Juan Soto, who's going to probably drive you in. So it's not a bad thing. And if they walk Soto, the bases are loaded and nobody out for Austin Wells, who's batting like 390 since the All-Star break. So, I mean, that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, but the whole concept of moving Judge in a lineup is to get him to be have more positions to swing the bat. Right. That won't happen if the guy in front of him if there's an open base. So you're still taking the bat out of his hand.
I still think that they would be hesitant to do that early, to walk Aaron Judge in that spot with Juan Soto following you. You probably don't want to do that. The best will in the world, as much as Austin Wells has been phenomenal, if you're the opposition manager, you're going to be like, do I want to pitch to Aaron Judge or do I want to pitch to Austin Wells? The answer is obvious. You're going to be pitching to Wells. As good as Wells has been, he's not Aaron Judge. But that situation is not going to happen if you're a manager and go, do I pitch to Aaron Judge or do I pitch to Juan Soto? The answer would be help. Right? So that's what I'm saying. That's why you would do that.
All right. I see your point of view now. It still would. I just with them batting, with Soto and Judge 2 and 3, I'm hesitant to make any changes to that. It's all about a proper leadoff hitter and an effective and a hot cleanup hitter. That solves the whole problem.
Well, we have one of those things. We have Austin Wells. He's been probably the best catcher in baseball for the last month or so since he got everyday playing time. We just need to figure out leadoff, and I think we were to a point with Verdugo there. Yeah. I'm not saying he was going to be the best leadoff hitter in baseball by any means, but we were asking for him to be leading off, as were many other people since we got him. Back in December, we were saying, all right, there's our leadoff hitter. And they batted him everywhere but, and then when they put him leadoff, he was actually hitting better. He's a doubles machine, as it was brought up earlier in the chat from Nosebleed. Doubles machine. And he was actually hitting the ball pretty well. But having him going from first to ninth just makes no sense. So, just don't touch the top 5. Don't touch the top 6. I don't want to move Jazz, honestly. I mean, I would try it out for a game or two, but I like him in the middle of that order because he does do a very good job most of the time with runners on base. And with Judge and Soto and Stanton and Wells and Stanton in front of him, chances are he's going to have a chance of driving some runs. I don't think he's going to strike out 6 times again, but whatever he can bring you, and he's a better hitter with guys on base than pretty much anything else in our lineup that's not named Judge and Soto. So I want him to get as many run driving in opportunities as possible. I don't think the lineup needs to be tinkered with. That's the thing. This is the best lineup we've had in 2 months with the healthy Stanton, or getting healthy Stanton, and the addition of Jazz Chisholm. A red-hot Austin Wells. Eventually, Volpe will be back from that foot in a couple of days, hopefully. That's the best lineup we have. But if you're going to keep shifting these guys around, batting first and batting ninth, or batting second and batting seventh, or batting seventh and batting fifth, it's not going to help anything. But, I say it again, if you're giving up 6 runs within the first 5 innings, none of this matters because the game is pretty much over from that point forward. So they got to figure out the pitching, and I think once they do that, this offense is going to start scoring runs again. This was a bad series. I get it. We just got to try to turn around quickly. I sound like Aaron Boone, But we got Texas coming in. We got to beat Texas. If we can beat them, we're going to forget about this Angels series pretty quickly. They got to have a short memory. And I trust that Judge and Soto and a red hot Wells and hopefully getting back to form Stanton. He had a really nice double yesterday, so hopefully that gets him going. We'll see. But I will say this so we can get on to the next topic with the awards, actually. Stop fucking with the lineup order and just go with consistency that we saw when we were winning games after the deadline. Stop changing it. And I don't know, NFE, there might not be a game today with the way the weather is. It's like hell on earth out there in New York, so we'd be lucky.
It flashes, but it looks like the sun's coming out. Then, then it just gets dark and it's just crappy. It sucks. It's really bad. It's like like you don't know whether to, put on sunscreen or grab an umbrella.
No, it's crazy. No, part of the reason why I was thinking about Jazz Chisholm leading off is because I think about when we had Alfonso Soriano. He struck out a lot, Alfonso Soriano. He had a very similar type swing. It was like he was a very similar type profile, actually, Alfonso Soriano. A guy that played second base but could also play outfield. Insane amount of speed and an insane amount of power, right? And that's kind of similar to what Jazz Chisholm offers. The only thing is, and they're both similar, is he struck out a lot, but it worked. Alfonso Soriano worked as a leadoff hitter for the Yankees. He was a good leadoff hitter with Derek Jeter following him. So I think that if you had Jazz Chisholm, I'm just trying to think of the best bats, and I'd want the best bats to be getting the most at-bats. And Verdugo is not our best bat, and I don't want him to get in the most at-bats. Jazz Chisholm is one of our best bats, and I would quite like to see him get more at-bats. I also think that if he's batting 6th or 7th, it might mean that he's trying to be driving in runners, so he's trying too hard to aim for the short porch. Whereas if he's leading off, it might be a case where they can talk to him and be like, right, just aim to have more of a level swing and aim to make contact, because with your natural power, you're going to be hitting 25, 30 home runs anyway with that short porch. So that's why I think Jazz Chisholm would be really good. Plus, I think his speed would be so explosive, and it would change things at the top. And it would really give a manager like Aaron Boone a lot of opportunities and a lot of options to kind of have fun with it. So that's my idea, and I think it would be good. That's why leadoff is kind of an issue, because you're giving a lot of at-bats to someone who, do you really want Verdugo to get a ton of at-bats? I don't. I'd much rather get Jazz those at-bats. So that's why I think of that.
No, it's. I don't think you're wrong. It's just, I think people are just looking at the approach in different ways, which is fine.
Oh, yeah,
it's a great conversation.
Opinion, but
if you're enjoying this conversation,
I see an Alfonso Soriano in him.
Okay. No, that's a good comparison, actually. But if you are enjoying the conversation and the debate, hit that like button, hit that sub button, join the chat. But right now, it is time for Donald's Awards.
Hey, well, that was a shit show, an absolute shit show. I mean, the weather. I'm half expecting Batman to be fighting the freaking Penguin in this weather right now. It's freaking horrible. I don't understand. So, God, I just can't wait till we get some sunshine and we can get some decent baseball back. But anyway, who's our MVP? That's the question. Who is our MVP? And frankly, I don't think there's a Yankee that gets the MVP.
It's not a Yankee that got it this year.
I don't think you could give an MVP to the Yankees, to any Yankee. So I would say that the MVP for me, after much thinking, I would give, let me see here. Who would I give the MVP to? I would give it to Neto. I think Neto gets the MVP. He absolutely killed the Yankees. He absolutely killed the Yankees. What he did was insane. So he gets the MVP. But Dev Finch has a good one here. Fans, the MVP. That's a good point, man. The fact that they spent a ton of money to sit in literally underwater It's like they were sitting in the pool in the Paris Olympics. Watching the Yankees. I mean, it says a lot about our fan base. It's freaking amazing. But the MVP for me is actually going to an Angel, and that would be their shortstop, Nito.
No, we don't do it often, and it's not a bad name to throw out there. But my MVP is the grounds crew for having to work their ass off with this weather, especially with having to do, with all the quick dry on the mound and on the base. They put their work in. So the grounds crew, you are the MVP of the series.
Rob.
Yeah, there weren't many Yankees that deserved it, that were deserved of it. Nito kicked our ass. Like, that's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, is there a Yankee? I know we won a game, but if it was, it would be Cabrera. But that'd be my low key because he didn't do well enough to help us win more than one game. It's got to be Nito. I don't like giving it to another player, but that dude kicked our ass. He had like 6 RBIs in 2 innings or something. Like, he won the game himself. So, unfortunately, this one goes to an Angel. I don't like giving awards to another player, but hey, tip your cap to him because the Angels should not be beating us the way they did, but he did. That guy did for sure. So, Nito, MVP.
Yeah, statistically, just to follow Rob's point and why we're giving him the MVP, he had 7 hits in 3 games with 9 RBIs and 2 home runs. That is absolutely stupendous. He's at a similar age to Volpe. This guy looks phenomenal, this guy. Frightening. So he gets the MVP. The low-key MVP, I would give to Austin Wells. I thought he was amazing as well. Offensively, he's just looking like awesome out there. And he was so close to hitting a 3-run home run that would have made this 3-run game going into the 9th inning. It died in the warning track. Again, when he hit it, I thought it was gone. He didn't, to be fair, but I thought with the way that, with that short porch, I thought it would have dropped in there. It didn't. So, but apart from that, he hit a lot and he was on base a lot and he's great. So, Austin Wells, for me, low-key MVP. Rob.
Yeah, I had Cabrera actually. I think Wells had a really good series, but Ozzy looked good. Came in yesterday for Volpe, hit a home run. Had a homer in the first game, the game we actually got the W. I want to give him a shout out because he hasn't been given too much of a chance. So yeah, I'm hoping that Ozzy gets some more playing time down the stretch here.
T.
Yeah, I should have put Wells because he did have a good series, but my low key I had is the fans that sat through the rain. I was so aggravated with the Yankees. I didn't want to give them any credit for anything. But I will give it to. I'll give the low key to the fans for trooping it out in the weather.
They do deserve a ton of credit, man. Like, I would be pissed. I would be pissed. I was hopping on the spot, furious, watching the Yankees get blown out by the Mets. It's expensive to go to a game, especially against the Mets, and then to have your team get blown out in front of you hurts. So to then sit in the pissing rain, deluge, darkness, horror, and then get blown out by one of the worst teams in the majors, I would be fizzing too. But I'll tell you what, these fans showed up. That's why the Yankee fans are the best in the world. I take, and I will not hear anything else other than that. They're the best baseball fans on earth. No one more loyal than the Yankee fans. Absolutely take it. So, Uncle Tats, you're right, man. Credit to them. Clutch award. There's nothing clutch that happened. There's nothing clutch that happened. But I do want, as in the spirit of the awards, I do want to give some credit to people. And this is an opportunity for me to give credit to Oswaldo Cabrera. He had a really good series. The only other one I could think of is DJ LeMahieu, who's actually played very, very well lately, and he's getting some hits, and he's looking much better. I actually thought that he actually was safe at first when it went to that replay, and then it took like 4 hours for them to make a decision. I actually thought he was safe, but doesn't matter. I thought he was pretty good, but really for me, Oswaldo Cabrera will get the clutch award, but just purely because it's another option to give an award to someone who merited it, and I thought he did. So I'm giving him that. Rob.
I'm going to give it to Luke Weaver because it looked like that game, the one that we actually won, could have gotten away from us pretty quickly. But he went out there in the 8th inning and shut it down. And once he got that inning, I'm like, okay, I think we're going to win this. And then Clay Holmes had a really good inning in the 9th to get us the W. Actually I think he had like 2 strikeouts. Might have been his best inning in months. But I want to give Weaver a shout out because I really thought that game was going to get away from us. And he put an end to that. They've got to do something about these retreads we're using in the bullpen. There's too many of them. At some point, you got to get away from the Tim Hills and the Jake Cousins of the world and try something else. But that's just another conversation. But I want to give Weaver a shout out.
Uncle Tats.
Yeah, this is actually where I had Nito. I thought all 3 games, he was a factor in every at bat. And you see players on the, teams on the West Coast, you don't get to watch them a lot, or experience their gameplay. And Nito was impressive. I was really impressed by his approach, navigating through the weather that the Yankees couldn't figure out how to do anything with. He showed they have a good young core if they're able to keep this together. But Nito's going to be a player to watch. I thought. So I gave the clutch to Nito.
He's already turning into like Rafael Devers against the Yankees. Oh my God. Medina says here, Trevino's going in rehab probably next week. Oh God. I hope not. Because that means that Boone's going to have to force him in and get in regular games. And if there's one person that doesn't deserve regular games, it's Trevino. Yeah. Narvaez looks better as a backup than Trevino. First of all, he actually can hit. And he's got a monster arm. He actually threw somebody out. I quite liked looking at Narvaez in his limited games. But most importantly, Austin Wells needs to be playing 8 out of every 10 games. And I don't trust the Yankees are going to do that. Once Trevino's there, they're going to try and force him in to play at least 4 out of those 10. And that's only going to be to our detriment. Anyway, that's by the by. We're getting to the pitching award. There's no pitching award to give out. Pitching was fucking great, though. Should all be ashamed of yourselves. But I'll give it to... Well, Leiter looked pretty good. I'm going to give it to Weaver. We'll give it to Weaver. Weaver, as Rob says, Weaver probably was the reason why we got something together. No, you know what I want? I'm going to give it to Luis Gil. Luis Gil pitched a shutout over 5 innings. He pitched great. So I'm giving it to Luis Gil. Good job, Luis Gil. I completely forgot. We actually did have someone that was decent. And his name is Luis Gil, who's just been doing it the whole season. Luis Gil is definitely the pitching award, and everybody agrees. So, Rob.
Yeah, it was Gil. I was surprised that you said there was nobody that pitched well. I'm like, did he forget who pitched the only win of the series? Like he battled through it. I do like the Holmes shout because he actually, like I said earlier, he probably had his best inning in 2 months, but it's 1 inning. He needs to do it more if he's going to be the fucking closer. But yeah, Luis Gil, great game. The fact that he could have let that get away from him and he didn't, that tells me that he has turned it around from that bad stretch he was in.
Yeah, I had Gil as well. And to Gregory's comment, 5 innings, 107 pitches with 6 walks, and he still, the game never got away from him. I think he navigated as best as he can, and I think this is one of those starts you could really see a massive turnaround and confidence. Where I think Gil can use this and just be the most lethal weapon on our pitching staff.
Oh yeah, Jonathan. Do I think Gil is the front runner for Rookie of the Year? I think he should be locked in. I think he should be giving it to him now. I mean, it's just amazing, just absolutely amazing what he's doing. He's been our best starter, and that includes Garrett Cole. He has been our best starter this year. He has been wonderful, amazing, and very proud of the kid. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to be the best pitcher on a Yankee rotation. It shows a lot. I mean, he's got a lot of guts because he didn't pitch great. in that game against the Angels. He walked a lot, put a lot of traffic on, but he was unfazed, and he just kept throwing strikes when he needed to and got the outs required. So he's definitely amazing. I think it was just the amount of rain and the amount of depression that I had watching the Yankees. I actually forgot there was actually a decent start in there. But Luis Hill definitely. Right, let's get to the fun stuff. The L's. A lot of L's to go around. A lot of fucking disasters to go around. My L I am giving to Warren. Warren is getting my L. Just 8 earned runs given up. He's got a 12 ERA in his 2 starts in the majors. He throws a lot of pitches, a lot of it mediocre. He doesn't really have a put away pitch. He doesn't have location. He's got a lot of mediocre, like mid-range, 90-mile-an-hour sinkers that just hang over the middle of the plate. I thought that he was absolutely dreadful and really screwed us because we really needed to take that series. He really needed to take the doubleheader, and he put us on an unworkable hole. He was just garbage. I'm glad he's been sent down back to AAA. I don't want to see him for the rest of the season, frankly. So he gets the L. Rob.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against Warren. You flip a coin, it's him or Cortez, but they could also get the Hicks Award. So I'm giving my L to De Los Santos because he was fucking terrible. He was really, really bad. I'm saving one of those 2 pitchers for the Hicks Award because they were really bad. Yeah, De Los Santos, man. I get why they try to get him for a Matt Blake project, but my goodness, there was zero need to pick him up. I know they got rid of Lockridge, who was a Rule 5 guy, but why not get a lefty? Why not get a lefty? Because we don't have one. De Los Santos throws hard, but it's going all over the place, and he's getting absolutely tattooed. He looked like shit in a series that had bad pitching all around from us. So, yeah. De Los Santos, take the L.
I really don't like De Los Santos. As you say, man, he throws hard, but it doesn't matter how hard you throw. If you can't locate it, it doesn't matter. And that's what we're seeing with De Los Santos. His stuff's fine, but he doesn't know how to locate it, and it's all over the place, and they get some really loud contact on him. It doesn't matter who it is. He walks a lot of guys, and he's just nasty to look at. Why did they not acquire a lefty out of the bullpen? Why? It's just baffling to me, and it's really fucking us up, frankly. Uncle Tats.
Yeah, my L, I gave it to Cortez. You cannot run your mouth the way you did during the All-Star break, come back and just shit the bed over and over and over again. You should get the L and the Hicks all wrapped up in one fucking bundle, but I have another choice for the Hicks. The L has to go to Cortez. And until he actually gives us something to be excited about, this will be where he is on the award spectrum from now until the end of the season. Because he has just been abysmal. And I can understand a bad start or 2, but you cannot run your mouth the way you did and then not back it up. So that's the roll away.
Completely agree. Next one is Aaron Boone out of 10. Difficult one. Difficult to assess Aaron Boone this series. But let's start with Rob. He can break it down for us.
I'm giving him a 3. I can't really blame him for too much, but we also didn't win the series. And the losses were ugly. Yeah, actually, no. I'll go 4. I'll go 4. I feel a little more bad because I really can't blame him for anything aside from the lineups I didn't agree with. But when your pitchers, like I said, all show, your pitchers aren't doing their job. It's hard to really be like, well, if the lineup was situated differently, we would have won. No, it was just a bad pitch series. I'm gonna give him 4 just to try to be a little generous for the win, but that's about it.
Uncle T.
Yeah, I gave him a 4 as well. with the weather, doubleheader, it's difficult to navigate, especially on a day with a double. When you have a double header, you got to use a lot of arms, and when none of them are working out, it's hard to you don't know which name the platter that had to put on the mound because they're all shit in the bed. But like to Rob's point, I don't think there was anything he could have done to make them perform any better in this particular series. It was just a really bad throwaway series. I because of the weather and having to navigate, the lineups. I don't think there was. He was kind of stuck. And I would do that. I would say that for any manager, whether it's Boone, Cora, Cash, double headers are tough.
I got some news here. Sorry to cut you off. Doubleheader tomorrow. Tonight's game's been postponed till tomorrow. Just came like 20 seconds ago from the Yankees Twitter.
G'day.
So
Right.
doubleheader tomorrow. It says tonight's Yankees-Rangers game has been rescheduled due to forecast of sustained inclement weather. Really heavy words there. And we made up tomorrow, Saturday, as a second game of a single admission doubleheader, which will begin with the first game at 1:05. So another doubleheader coming up tomorrow, which means we'll get another 26th man. Who is that going to be? We
Will
shall
Warren.
see. It won't be Will Warren, but it wouldn't surprise me. I wonder who. It's probably going to be.
Peraza.
Maybe they call up it might be him, but they
He'll
might
just
call up
sit
an
there
extra.
and
They're going to bring up an arm.
Oh my
They always
God.
use an arm.
Probably be an
Right,
arm.
he'll just sit there and warm the bench like Jason Tatum did in Team USA yesterday in the semis. Didn't leave the bench. That'll be it. He's going to be tattooed to the bench because the Yankees don't like Peraza. And that's another thing. The guy is murdering the ball in AAA. He's a phenomenal fielder, and the Yankees despise him. They have nothing to do with him. Anyway, that's another issue. Let's get back to Aaron Boone. Thanks for that update, Rob. Let's get back to Aaron Boone. I'm going to agree with the panel. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. Not his worst managed series. I think he was up against it. He was in a tough spot. I don't envy him being in the dugout in a situation where it's just like ridiculous rain that's just almost comical. Like, what do? You don't want to get people hurt, and you don't want to maybe. You're probably stuck between whether to stick or twist because your pitchers all suck and they're getting absolutely bombed. But you're thinking, maybe this game's out, so maybe we'll focus on the next game. But if I was to play Monday morning quarterback on a Friday, I would say that he should have taken Warren out much earlier. I think you probably did a disservice to Will Warren for him to be in that situation just to get completely bombed. He can't pitch in the majors, right? He's just not ready yet. And I think it actually hurt him because now his ERA just exploded to 12 on the big league level. And that's tough to come back from as a young kid who's just learning. I think that as soon as there was some problem with him and he gave up 5 runs, he should have been out. And then the Yankees could have still had a chance to come back because there was times in that game where the Yankees were putting people on base. They just weren't able to drive them in, but there was looked like opportunities where we could come back. But unfortunately, we just kept running Will Warren out there. And then the game just became unmanageable. So that's on Aaron Boone. I really felt that he really kind of screwed up Will Warren there. I understand the situation where you're just trying to get innings, but at the end of the day, you're still accountable to everybody else too. And if you're in a situation where you're down 8-1 or 8-2, you're kind of fucked. So they should have taken Will Warren out much earlier, in my opinion, and tried to save that game. So I'm going to give Aaron Boone criticism for that. And I thought the lineup was again a total joke in Game 3. So that's where I sit with Aaron Boone. Again, didn't do anything terribly wrong. I agree with most of his bullpen management. I thought most of it was fine. Don't agree with giving De Los Santos all those innings, but that's not him. Cashman had him do it. Cashman made him come here, so he's kind of stuck in a tough spot. But again, it all falls on Aaron Boone anyway because he's the manager, so he just has to suck it up. If you lose to one of the worst teams in the majors, which the Angels are, at home, and the Yankees have the 8th best record in the American League at home, which is unacceptable, then Aaron Boone has to take some of the criticism for that. So 4 out of 10 for that. Let's get to the Aaron Hicks Award by closing this out. Let's start with Rob. Who is your Aaron Hicks Award winner?
Nestor Cortez. Need I say more? He sucks. It's Nestor. Ever since he said that shit on Twitter, he's been probably the worst pitcher in baseball. I don't want to put too much on Will Warren. It's his second start. Nestor Cortez, he's been trying to talk the talk, and he ain't walking the walk. He can't even pitch at home now, so what the fuck good is he, right? It's bad. He's very bad. Not nasty. He's not like medium nasty. He's disgusting, and not in a good way.
Yeah, mine is. I gave mine to Mother Nature. I'm tired of it, especially when you're living with it. It sucks. You're screwing everything up. It causes everything to go into obscurity, and nobody knows how to. This team does not perform well with bad weather. And Mother Nature, here's this ugly head again tonight, so it just reaffirms my pissed offness of the weather. So Mother Nature, you get the Hicks Award.
Aaron Hicks Award goes to the pitching version of Aaron Hicks, and his name is Nestor Cortez. I am so sick of this guy. He still thinks he's an all-star. He's so far from that. It's not true. His start on the 20th of July, he gave up 3 home runs. 6 earned. He's given up, oh my God. He has given up a ton of runs. Last start, 6 runs. Last start, 3 runs and 4. Start before that, 4 runs. Start before that, 6 runs. Start before that, 5 runs. He is getting tattooed. The dude is ass. And he seems to have acquired an ego, which he didn't have before. Now he seems to think he can talk the talk. He ain't walking the walk. And I am sick of watching him. His stuff sucks. He doesn't throw anything. If he threw something half decent, we could maybe have a conversation. But his stuff sucks. Everything hangs. Everything is actually high. He throws fastballs high, which is just basically laughable. The home run he gave up was actually laughable. It was a batting practice home run. It was something from the home run derby. It was ridiculous. It was a perfect fastball right down the middle of the plate, and it got bombed. It got bombed so hard that not even Mother Nature could stop it. I mean, that's what it's coming down to. Nestor Cortez needs to be out of this rotation. Figure it out. Put him in the bullpen. Make him a long reliever. He needs to be out of this rotation as soon as Clark Schmidt is ready. He's toast. He's done. And I am fucking sick of looking at him. Ward's over.
Yeah, so obviously with the announcement with the weather, we will not have any baseball to watch tonight, and that might be a blessing.
I think so.
But it just means we get 2 games tomorrow, and who the frig knows how that's going to pan out. Like I said, I just don't like, especially with new baseball. I mean, you used to have guys used to throw, pitch both games of a doubleheader if it was that day. When Sunil and I first started watching baseball in the 1800s, it's just I can't. The weather is just I'm done. I mean, I know you always need water. It helps with, but it's just no. I'm done with the rain. Done. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up for us today. And If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the stranger on the corner. And as we always say, we don't piss us your pride and play hard.
Play harder than Nestor Cortez does.